change the things around you. Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, when you gonna hear his revelation? Oh, oh, let it move inside of you. Life ain't no.
Greetings, and welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. This is Infinite Perspectives, where voices become vision and where conversations are designed to stay with you long after the moment ends. I'm Michelle Diamond, CEO of Next Level Promotion, public relations strategist, and co-founder of Infinite Perspectives brand. And I am honored to hold this space with my co-host, co-founder, and sister in vision, the wonderful Linda Boston. Linda?
Hi, I'm Linda Boston, and I'm a performing, literary, and teaching artist. And I will always remind you that you are the change you seek.
Ooh, absolutely. Infinite Perspectives is proudly brought to you by Peer Incorporated, Next Level Promotion, a division of Infinite Perspectives brand, Monica Enterprises, Carlotta Cole the brand, and Unlimited Networks Property Management. Tonight is not about performance. It is about presence. It is about understanding what happens after awakening. When insight meets the nervous system, when expansion meets the body, when transformation becomes something we can actually live. If you have ever had a moment that changed you and then realized life is still needed to be lived after it, tonight is definitely for you.
That's right. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
Here at Infinite Perspectives, we believe transformation is not just about breaking through moments. It is about what happens after. We're talking about integration, stabilization, embodiment. So tonight's conversation is for anyone navigating transition, grief, awakening, identity shifts, or simply learning how to live more fully inside their own truth. And tonight, we are honored to welcome someone who works at that exact intersection.
Ooh, yes, absolutely. Tonight, we welcome Shaman Rah, a modern mystic, sound healer, transformational guide, working at the intersection of ancient wisdom and nervous system science. His work focuses on helping people move safely through in between states so awakening doesn't overwhelm. It integrates through grounding breath, sound, and awareness practices. He helps insight become something the body can hold, not just the mind can understand. And before we begin, we invite everyone listening to just take a moment and take one breath with us. Shaman Rah, welcome to Infinite Perspectives.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Linda, for having me on Infinite Perspectives. It is truly an honor, and I love what you guys are doing on this platform. I love that introduction, too. I think you actually did a better introduction than I could have done for myself.
Gratitude,
But
gratitude.
I really, really appreciate that. And I just really want to kind of jump right in because this is something that I can kind of tell you a story about how I became Shaman Rah and how I was moved into this role as what we call a liminal specialist, or someone who helps you through transition. And it's very ironic how the story happened. Probably back in December, I met a channeler, and we started with some quick activations, and kind of opened the door from there. My
Oh,
father unfortunately passed the end of December, which was a couple of weeks after I met the channeler. And I've been doing spiritual work now for over probably 20 years. And I started off with meditation and really went into education, teaching people, and my whole platform was about self-mastery.
wow.
However, I found that people could not get the concepts of self-mastery. It was very hard for them to see what they were actually going through. And it was hard for them to recognize the karma that they were living through, or the trapped emotions, or the emotional baggage, or the subconscious programming that was creating loops that they could not stop.
Mhm.
So what I did was found that people's nervous systems needed to be reset. People's nervous systems needed to be a lot stronger for them to feel safe enough to go in and actually do the self mastery work, to do the shadow work. And that's where this whole platform came from. And kind of back to the backstory where my father passed back in December, and I met this channeler. She did some downloads and light codes for me and on me. And I opened up to something very incredible. And my father would always ask me, son, I've been to your retreats, I've taken your classes, but I still don't know what you really do. And I said, well, Dad, I help people to find their peace, and I help people to understand their purpose in life. And I do that through education, through meditation, through sound. And he was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I still don't know what you do, but it's okay. And it was very funny because he was asking me that up until a week before he passed. And the
Mm,
week after he passed, he literally was coming to me every day. And I did a ceremony, a very deep ceremony. And he came into my consciousness. And as he came into my consciousness, he smiled and he said, now I see what you do.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, well, it was kind of hard for me to explain consciously what I do, but this
Yeah.
is what I do. And he
Yeah.
said, I can help. And as
Yeah.
soon as he said that, literally, I channeled a book that is called The Living Bridge, a manual for stabilized awakening, which is incredible. And there's 5 steps in it. And we'll get into that a little bit later.
Mhm.
But also, as he started telling me more about who I was, a liminal specialist, or what we call a psychopomp. A psychopomp is a person who helps people between stages because their nervous system has been regulated and regulated over and over and over again, so that you become a nervous system that literally takes over for the other nervous systems when they're too weak or they're not strong enough to actually go through a threshold and cross over and come back. So this is a process that I do when I help people through transition. Even when my father was passing, I helped him and I built a bridge for him. I became a bridge for him to cross to the other side and come
mm,
back. And we continue to do that. So this
Mm.
is something between life and death, between the death of the old and the rebirth of something new. This is
mm,
something where we're looking at life transitions, when we're looking at going into the unknown and coming to the known, going from the
mm.
spiritual to the physical and back and forth. So what a psychopomp does is actually creates a bridge with their nervous system that allows the person to actually ground into their nervous system and go as far as they need to go and come back. Now, that's what I do as a psychopomp. But as I'm working with people and teaching people, I teach you how to basically stabilize your own nervous system through what we call the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve has one job, basically it runs from the base of the skull all the way down to the pelvis floor.
Mm.
And its job is to say to the brain or to the body, you're safe or you're not. And
Mhm.
so, as I teach you through breath work, through meditation, through sound frequencies to tone your vagus nerve, you begin to move out of the fight, flight, and the freeze, and you begin to move into the flow. So
Wow.
that
You know,
is exactly what I'm doing now. So
mhm.
I'm just going to open the floor with that and
Yeah,
let you
yeah,
all ask any
I love
questions.
it. No,
it's
I love that.
it's wonderful because you have first of all, you've actually done the interview. Not really.
It's so funny.
It's wonderful because there are people that think that they need expansion, but I think what you're saying is that there's a moment when you should realize that awakening needs stabilization first before
Yes.
expanding. Would you agree?
100%. And that's exactly what I do. And that's the 5-step program. The first is vagal safety and foundation. And that's
Mhm,
teaching you to teach your nervous system that you're safe enough to actually cross a bridge or go get information and come back. Because what happens is people chase the peak states. They want the experience, the meditation where they go out into the cosmos and they become stardust and they do all these special things.
mhm, mhm,
But when you come back, how do you bring all that information back and assimilate that into your body
mhm,
and not even just integrate it? How do you apply it into everyday life? If
mhm,
your nervous system says, no, 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 we're not ready for that, because that is well beyond what we understand in our conscious mind. So the nervous system works with the subconscious, and the subconscious gives us a training according to what the nervous system feels in the body. And the emotion is what gives us the actual signals to say this is safe or this is not safe. So you have the vagus nerve that says to the brain or the body, we're safe or we're not safe. Then you have the nervous system that says, okay, we're not safe, so we can't do these things. This goes into the body, into the nervous system, into the cells. Then the cells
mhm.
begin to say to the brain, this situation is not safe. Anything anything that looks like this or replicates this, block it at all costs. This is the unconscious program that runs. This is the karmic loop that is the emotion that has been unattended to. And what happens is it just continues to happen. You ever seen people say, hey, I'm going to fix a plan and I'm going to say, I'm going to do this plan and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to make X number of dollars, or I'm going to get myself in shape, but they can never keep doing it. Well, that's because there's something in the nervous system that says it's not safe to do these practices.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
So,
Yes.
what are some of the ways that the nervous system tells you it's not ready?
number one, it blocks you and it will not let things come into your life that can happen that you want to happen. So the
Okay.
nervous system is constantly saying to you, freeze. Or what happens is you might find yourself in situations where your body locks up. Your nervous system is telling you when you feel tense, somebody asks you a question and you begin to speak to them. You're not relaxed and flowing, you get kind of tensed up. Just think about sometimes when you get into those interview questions, you don't know what they're going to ask, you tense up. Well, that's fight or flight. So that's a
Correct.
nervous system saying we're not safe. But if you just relax and say, I'm safe with any question that you ask me, the next thing you know, it's like the flow happens. And that's your vagal state.
Mhm,
We want to get out of the dorsal state and the parasympathetic state where we're actually fighting flight or we're freezing.
mhm.
Hmm.
Calm that
Yes.
cortisol down and all that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's another big part of it. But the
Yeah.
vagus nerve communication and nervous system, the nervous system stores in the human body, and that teaches the subconscious mind what programs to run. So what I'm doing is teaching you how to deregulate all that. So the first step is
So,
vagal safety.
so some of these things are early experiences with transition
Hmm.
or in between states. And so we're
Right,
talking about a lot of different levels here.
right,
You
right.
realize people needed safety more than speed, you know.
Yes. Yeah, yes. We have to be safe before we can have the speed. And what I found when I do sessions with the clients now, when I create the safety and create the bridge, they're able to go further and come back. And then when they regulate the nervous system and stabilize the nervous system, they're able to assimilate everything they're getting from the meditations and are actually able to apply it into life and to integrate,
Yes.
which is another part of the program.
So then you're shifting from mysticism alone and you're moving into an embodiment of work that you do
Exactly.
Mhm.
to keep you
Right,
from being
right.
scattered in some sort of a flavor of the month
Ex-
kind of.
exactly. It's from being dysregulated. And
And
that's the
that's
whole thing.
yeah, and that's important to also understand the relevance of the chakras,
Mhm.
because this way you're understanding what it is you're feeling, where you're feeling it.
Right.
And when you mentioned the different systems and feeling the fear, or being able to comfort yourself saying, hey, it is okay,
Hmm.
by putting out certain manifestations or affirming, or just holding your heart and your stomach and letting your inner self understand that it is safe here. And
Right.
nothing, that is not welcomed within this space,
Mhm.
can enter. Um, Things like that are so relevant, especially for embodiment work, I should say.
Mhm.
Right, right. Definitely. That is important.
Yeah, so when we're talking about stabilization um, of awakening, one of the most powerful things that you teach is that awakening alone is not the goal. Stabilization is what makes transformation sustainable.
Yeah.
Right.
You mentioned a
Yes,
lot in the intro, but I wanted to walk it a little bit slower so that
of
the
course.
audience could sit with it and it resonate, and this way
Mhm.
they can digest it and apply it. What actually happens to the nervous system during awakening or major life transition?
Okay. So what happens is the nervous system is either going to be in a space where it freezes or goes into fight and flight if it doesn't feel safe. If it feels safe, the nervous system just flows and you can continuously move. However, when we're going through transitions of grief or sadness, the nervous system shuts down and it freezes. So what we have to understand, when the nervous system stops like that, we have to literally reprogram the vagus nerve until that we are safe. And once we feel safe, and that comes through a simple breath work system, and that lets us know that we're safe. There's certain meditations that I've created with certain frequencies that also help us to tone the vagus nerve to make sure that we're safe. But let me make sure I'm answering the question correctly, because sometimes I get to talking a little bit.
No,
So
this is good.
answer the question. Ask me the question again about the actual nervous system.
No, and you answered it. So
Okay.
we're good there. Because
Okay.
it was actually just to reiterate what you mentioned earlier on, because you talked about the fear, the fight or flight, fear
Mhm.
of being comforted. So I just wanted you to reiterate that for those that it needed to resonate
Okay.
with. Because, for
Okay.
example, with myself, my husband, and for anyone, that may be listening from our family out there, we
Hmm.
lost another loved one today.
My condolences.
And you know, we all know that everyone handles grief differently.
Right.
And at times it has a lot to do with our internal system of
Right.
how we interpret certain things and
Right.
how we react
Right.
when we lose
Definitely.
someone, because not everyone handles grief the same.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So I just wanted
That's
you
true.
to, elaborate on that a little bit. Like, why is it that some people may handle it in
Right.
different ways
And
and how
and
they could cope?
I'll give you a great example of that. For example, when my father passed, when I woke up the next morning, something in my nervous system completely reorganized, and I stopped being the son and I became the person who was the father. I
Mm,
became the person who now had to have responsibility to take his role.
Mhm.
And as long as he was alive, it was like dad's here, so he can do it. That
right.
energy was always supportive of me, so I didn't step into the role as a leader. But when he passed, then all of a sudden the torch was passed to me. So that's the way that I felt it. And what happens when we experience some type of transition, our nervous system goes through some type of reorganization. When we go into that freeze or that fight or flight, what happens is we're stuck and we don't know what to do. And then we
Mhm.
begin to start to take in information. If you understand how to tone the vagus nerve, you can literally reprogram everything and reorganize the nervous system. I literally did the exercises once my father transitioned. And that, when I tell you, every night I had a dream, and that dream was showing me how my nervous system was reorganizing from the son to the father to the leader to the person that was gathering all the information that was needed and releasing the information that wasn't needed, kind of going into a place where I was taking everything that I needed from his toolbox and keeping it, and then the rest discarding, and then going into a place where I was still a little in grief and didn't know how to actually use the tools. So I sat still. And then I began to go into another phase, another dream where it showed me that I was becoming the person now that reorganized the nervous system to accept leadership and then to
Mm,
begin to take responsibility for myself and for other people. and begin to lead people out of their own darkness. And this whole dream was showing these dreams, these sequences of dreams over 4 weeks was showing me how my nervous system was actually reorganizing itself for the role that I'm stepping into today. So
That's
that's just
amazing.
kind of a real life story. So when we go through these things, depending on how close you are to the person that transitioned, it's you're going to feel different things. But no matter who they are, you're going to feel a loss. There's a piece of their energy that is no longer with you. And your nervous system doesn't know what to do now because there's a gap. And with that gap, we have to begin to let the nervous system reorganize to feel safe enough to say, okay, what do we need to do next? But that all comes from feeling safe. So the first step is you got to tone that vagus nerve. You have to make your body know that it's safe to move forward.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
that. So when you talk about feeling safe and toning the vagus nerve, we thinking about expansion, right? So why can expansion without that grounding create fragmentation?
Oh, that's a great question. What happens is when we start to expand and our nervous system is not set to a place where we feel safe, we start chasing these peak states or these meditations or feelings of ecstasy, like we're tapping into this extraterrestrial world or extra spiritual world, that we're getting all this information. And what happens is we begin to say, we want to go into the fifth dimension. I'll just say the fifth dimension to be in the heavens and the third dimension being the
Right.
earth, the physical and the spiritual. Fifth dimension, we'll just call spiritual for right now.
Overstand.
When, yeah, when
Yeah.
we start transitioning our minds through meditations and going into the fifth dimension, what happens is we start loving that feeling out there so much that we forget that that feeling starts in here first. And if the nervous system is not regulated, we continue to chase to go outside of ourselves, and we don't want to be here on the earth. How many spiritual practitioners have you said, I don't like being on earth? Earth is ghetto, this, that, and the other. Well, no, that out there is inside here, and it's
Yeah.
in the nervous system. So what I do is teach people to go out there, bring that information back to a nervous system that is regulated and says,
Come on.
hey, I'm going to actually live that fifth dimensional, that 5D life in this third dimensional life. And
Yeah.
that's what we're supposed to be doing in the spiritual awakening. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be bringing the information down and actually going from within ourselves and bringing it out. So it's correspondence, typical correspondence. What's above is below, what's below is above. So it's all the
Correct.
same. And it's just learning how to go inside to get the information as we go outside. And the more that we go inside, the deeper we begin to find it, that outer experience is nothing but what's inside of us.
And that's what an integrated soul looks like, is being fully
What,
regulating and
right.
understanding.
Exactly. The integrated soul looks like one that is living the 3D world, living the
Mm,
5D world in the 3D
And the
every
I
day.
love
three.
that.
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
what my whole program teaches you to do. So it's not about peak states. Now, I will say there are peak states that we go to,
Right.
but I'm teaching you how to regulate your nervous system. So when we do go to those peak states, because as a cycle pump, I can create a bridge that will take you beyond any place you ever thought you could go. But if you're not
I love
regulated, when
that.
the information comes back, you don't know what to do with it. And the nervous system doesn't know how to handle it. So it's kind of like you got a cup of water and it's full, but you go out there and get all this great information and you want to put it in the cup that's full and nothing gonna happen. What I do
Right.
is expand the size of the cup.
Well, I love that.
That's
And I
right.
want you to, and let's break it down in layman terms for our viewers, right?
Okay.
So we're talking about integration, and sometimes, the language may not be where everybody's mentality
Right.
is, but this is
Right.
what this platform is for, so that you're open to learning and
Right.
understanding these terminologies. So, what, in layman terms, does a safe integrated person or safe integration actually look like in real
Yeah.
life?
Yeah. So I can check and see if I'm doing it.
What that looks like is a person that loves enjoying being in their everyday life. Someone who has a stabilized or regulated emotional system, somebody who is very emotionally mature, who doesn't let their emotions drive them. They allow their emotions to run through a process and they're not controlled by them, they control them. That is when you know that you're actually living it in balance. When your emotions do not control you, that is a number one thing. So you're not just, this is happening, you just freak out and you don't know what to do. Or you fight, flight, or freeze, and you're just
Right.
constantly being controlled. An emotionally mature person is one of the signs of a regulated nervous system. Now, an emotionally secure person or mature person still needs to be kind at
Mm.
heart and live through love. So just because you have emotionally mature, you're not just because you are emotionally mature does not mean that you're spiritually adept.
Ooh,
Okay.
insight changes what you see. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we have a few comments that came in. I just want to give acknowledgement. Thank you all
Okay.
for supporting. Of course, Uncolada joined us, and we have at 120 Alter says greetings, and yes, agreeing with some of the topics we said. And of course, we have Mrs. Simpson on, which is my sister. Hello, Raquel. She said, preach. So thank you for joining, and we appreciate all the support
Thank
to
you.
you both for being here. And so, insight changes what you see. We said that. And pretty much from what you broke down, in turn, it also means that stabilization changes what you can actually live.
Yes, because when you're stable, you can actually live stable. If you're
Mm,
not stable, you can't live stably. You can only live to the stability that your actual nervous system is capable of holding.
and that is so true. So, how do people know the difference between genuine expansion
Mhm.
versus nervous system overwhelm disguised as spiritual growth?
Come on now. That's a
Ooh,
wonderful question.
that's a great question. What happens is when you understand when it's truly integrated, again, it's very comfortable and it may start uncomfortable, but it becomes comfortable.
Mm,
It's a process of allowing yourself to emotionally feel. And when you go through the emotional feeling, then you're able to let the emotions go through what they're going to go through to get to the other side. That's when you know you're actually spiritually awakening and you're embodying. When we're looking at the defragmented or the over inflated float of emotional float, what we're doing is we're looking at someone who is going out, having peak states, having great meditations,
mm,
and not being able to live that. You've seen it a million times. People, they talk and they speak eloquently,
yes.
but their lives don't match it.
Mm,
That is how you understand. That's how you know when someone has a true spiritual awakening that is integrated versus one that is not integrated.
yeah.
When it's integrated, you don't just, oh man, this is so beautiful, and you speak with this eloquent tongue and you resolute heart and you're saying all these great things and you live in this loving system of world, and that's all you are, is love and light. When you are actually going through your darknesses, and that's
Mm,
why I say it gets really uncomfortable when you go through the emotions. And when you go
yes.
through the emotions, allow them to go through their proper channels and they go through their process. On the other side of those emotions are answers. And
Mhm.
those very lessons become your blessings.
Mm,
Yes.
So that's
and
what we want to be looking for when we're looking for the authentic spiritual awakening. It's
yes.
being in a system, a nervous system that says it's okay to feel and emote and go
Mm,
through the emotions safely without harming yourself or harming other people.
I
And now
love
we're
that.
able to actually bring everything into our reality in a balanced way, because when you allow the emotions to go through a process, and let me see if I can explain that. Going through a transition of a loved one, there's going to be sadness, there's going to be anger, there's going to be confusion. You can't skip any one of those emotional spaces. When you skip them, that's when we're going to the spiritual bypass. That's when we're not allowing ourselves to integrate. That's when we're just saying, no, they're in the heaven and they're okay and they're going to be
Wow.
fine. But you don't ever let yourself go through the emotional feeling of what it is like to lose who you love.
Right.
So you have
So
to go through that.
deep.
So this is passion, this is compassion, emotion,
Mhm.
this is life. And we
Mm,
have to feel this in every way in order to know that this is a true spiritual awakening. versus one that is actually a spiritual bypass. It's not
Right.
just everything is love and light and everything is great. No, it's not going to be that way. I don't care who you are. It's something in the seven hermetic principles called
So
rhythm.
many layers. Yeah.
And when we look at rhythm, there's an ebb and a flow in everything. There's a high tide and there's a
Mhm.
low tide. Period.
Yes.
It's
Exactly.
going to happen.
Duality.
So we have to allow ourselves to experience everything. And when we experience everything and emote with maturity, that's when you know the spiritual awakening is mature. And that's when you know the spiritual awakening is not being bypassed.
I love that.
You know,
And
go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I just wanted to make note because you touched on it again about grief
Yeah.
and, sharing with you about what we heard earlier today. I was on the phone with my sister earlier, and I love her to pieces. Well, not to pieces, but I love her to life, I should say. And, we were discussing about emotions and how, and as we discussed earlier, about how people cope or their perspective of it. And sometimes people suppress so many of their hurts from the past. So
Right.
when they're in this new, just now situation,
Mhm.
they didn't take the time to heal all of the emotions from the past. So now when this one comes in, the trajectory is now, oh, whoa, the world is over because all of it comes pouring out
Right.
at this present. So
Right.
you're not allowing yourself to shift through what it
Right.
is you're feeling because you have all this excess baggage from
Mhm.
before piling into
Mhm.
your present.
That's a
Mhm.
deregulated nervous system.
Yeah.
That is it. You just described it perfectly right
And
there.
and so imagine this. Imagine losing a loved one, having a breakup, and losing a job all in one fell swoop.
Mm,
It's a lot.
All of that is grief.
All of it. So much
Your
grief.
pet gets sick. All of that is
yeah.
grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've got to talk about the whole thing and how you have to handle it no matter what it is. You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
that's deep.
And
Yeah.
Linda, could you read the comment that came in from Raquel?
Okay, let me put on some eyeballs. Hold on. Raquel said, how do you know when someone is ready to do the emotional work internally? Because some people are so fearful to do that internal work for fear that it will be their demise.
Great question. Wow.
That is a great question. Great question. So you know when somebody's ready to actually do the work when they get so low that they can't go any lower. That's
Uh,
the number one reason because there is no place to go any lower and
Mm,
they're ready to do the work. Now, the way that I do the work is very different. So anybody at any level could come to me because basically what I'm going to do is sit with you and teach you to breathe. And I'm going to have you do a breath work exercise 15 minutes a day that's so easy that it's going to say you're safe. And once we go through that process, because what I do, there is no fast track, there is no rushing, there is just time. And it's time for you to take as much time and space as you need to wait till you feel safe. Okay. So we have to be able to be gentle with everything. This is not a process where it's push, push, push. And that's another thing with peak states. People want to push, push, push. I got to go higher. I got to get more. I got to have another ceremony. No, you don't need any more ceremonies.
mm-mm.
If you had 50 ceremonies, what you need to do now is sit down and integrate. And you probably need to regulate your nervous system to see why you're not assimilating what you're getting from those 50 ceremonies.
mm,
Okay.
Ceremonies, right.
So,
Mhm.
and as a shaman, yes, I do a lot of ceremonies all over the world, but I'm really careful with medicines because people don't need medicine first.
mm.
They need a regulated nervous system before they touch the medicine because the medicine is going to take you so far out that you're not
Yes.
going to know what to do with it when you come back. And it will break free things that are in the nervous system that you're not ready to let go of. And you can go
Mhm.
into violent convulsions, shakes, vomiting, all kind of things are going to happen to you.
Mm.
So that's just a whole nother topic. But
Yeah.
Ooh,
I just
And
want,
I
I
you
love
always
know,
want to
and
put
you
that in
know
there.
when an individual is ready for that. You know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're ready. Because they begin to live a different way. There's a
Mhm.
different aura that they see, or there's a different swag. They have a different movement about themselves, and they're very confident and they love themselves. You can
Mhm.
tell when somebody is truly in their heart space
Mhm.
when they don't justify everything anymore.
Mm.
That's the number one way to tell when somebody's in their heart versus their brain. If you're in your head, you justify everything. You got a reason, an excuse, a
Yeah.
justification for everything that you're doing. When
Right.
you're working out of your heart space, and this is another way I can tell when people are ready, when they're in their heart space, even if it's a lower frequency, there's one word answers and they're ready or they're not ready. And if they're not ready, it's like, hey, it's okay. If you're not ready, just sit still and quiet and peace,
Mm.
because sit with yourself and do these exercises. And
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
exercise is just breathing. And
Respect the
everybody got to
breath.
breathe.
Respect that
And
breath.
literally what happens in a couple of days, sometimes a week or so at the most, they're coming back saying, hey, I'm ready to go take this next step. It's such a simple, literally, it's breathing 4 counts in, 4 counts out for 3 to 5 minutes. And then breathing 4 counts in, 6 counts out for about 2.5 minutes. And then when you get to the end of those 2.5 minutes, you begin to hum on the exhale, and the exhalation is just a little bit longer than the
Mhm.
inhale. So it's a 4-6 count. And then what you
Mm.
then do is put your hand over your heart and one over your stomach, and you just breathe back at the 4-4. That is it. You do that for 15 minutes, and you literally will change the way the vagus nerve responds, and it will start to feel safe. And
Yes.
then when you start to feel safe, you can then begin to go into places where you
Mhm.
would emotionally be afraid. And that's like the third step of my program. Once we go through the state regulation, teaching you how to go from one state to the next, it goes into um, moving into actual emotional containment and and emotional containment and integration, or emotional containment and shadow work integration. And
Mhm.
so it's learning to go into these emotional spaces where the emotion is sitting that holds the shadow, because the
Yeah.
shadow is nothing but an unattended to emotion, and that emotion is trying to keep you safe. I tell people, you're not broken. Your nervous system is just keeping your original self safe.
That's
That's
all.
all that's happening.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Aziza said, yes, I thank God every day for every blessing and every lesson. Thank you,
Yes.
Aziza. Oh,
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah. You know, uh, you've been speaking about embodiment. You've been talking about being safe. We've been talking about so much here. Why must insight live in the body and not just the mind? You know, I wrote that song, said the mind is a mystery, the body is a miracle.
Right.
you,
Yeah.
you know that song.
Definitely.
Why must insight live in the body, not just in the mind?
Mm.
Because when it's in the mind, it may not be practiced. It's like
Mm.
knowledge is not wisdom until it's put to use.
Mhm.
So if the knowledge is in the mind, the insight is in the mind, that means you're very aware. You can be an educated person. You can be an educated fool because you have so much education, so much understanding, but you have no practice behind it. When you put the practice behind it, the education becomes embodied in the
Mhm.
body.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
that's when you begin to live the knowledge, which is
Mhm.
wisdom.
So how do grounding and presence actually create wisdom, not just information?
So, what grounding and presence does is it shows you the only way to be grounded and the only way to be present is to actually practice the
Mm,
knowledge that you have.
yeah.
So you can't be grounded and you can't um, be present if you have not practiced.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So all kinds of things will happen to people when they chase that peak experience, but skip
Yeah,
that.
but it becomes a facade when
Yeah.
you chase the peak experience. But when you ground it into your body, what happens is now not just grounding. Well, what grounding does is allows you to live it naturally. And so you
Mm.
become the notes. Like if you have ever read the book, The Mysticism of Sound by Hazrat Khan, he talks about the musical note.
Mhm.
the Sufi becomes the note. They become the instrument. So when they play their instrument, it's nothing but an extension of their own energy. That's
Mm.
embodiment. And then what happens is people go into a trance because the note that they're playing is not from the instrument per se, it's from their nervous system.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's something I was going to ask
Yeah.
in regards to the frequencies.
Yeah.
Different frequencies that you tap into, and I've experienced it myself. You sense it in certain zones in your body,
Right.
and I would like for you to kind of explain that, why that occurs.
Mhm.
Okay. So what happens is different frequencies hold different energies, different vibrations. And what happens is whatever the frequency is playing, let's say you're playing a 528 and all of a sudden you feel it in your heart. That's
Mm.
because a tuning fork that plays a 528 is going to go to another tuning fork. And when it hits 528 in that place in the body, that part is going to vibrate. So what that is your body is attuned to the frequency that's being played, so you feel the vibrations. Now, eventually what you want to do is you want to have someone playing the vibrations that can begin to take over your body and begin to align everything. And that's one of the things that I do when I'm doing my sound baths with the bowls and the frequencies that I use and the combinations of notes will literally allow you to feel the vagus nerve, which goes from the back of the head to the pelvis floor. You'll feel it going down your neck. You'll feel the vibration shaking through here down into your abdomen. And then all of a sudden, the vagus nerve begins to align. Now, that's just the notes I'm playing for the vagus nerve. Now, there's other notes I can play for each chakra. There's other notes I can play for healing. There's other notes I can play for replenishing or repairing the DNA, different frequencies. And the more that you study frequencies now, the more that you see the frequencies are actually the healing modalities that people are using, and they don't have to use surgery. You know, this gets in a lot of different aspects and some
Wow.
controversial subjects about healing, but the frequencies are what we need to tap into. So if you're feeling the frequency in your body in a certain place, that means that place in your body is aligned to the frequency that is being played and it is resonating. Now, what that resonation wants to do is begin to grow and expand out to your whole body feels like it's buzzing. And that means you're in complete alignment with whoever is playing the frequencies that are there. So again, that comes from a person that is more adept or highly advanced spiritually within their own system, within their own nervous system. I can't say everybody can do the same thing because, again, when you become the note, the frequencies that you play, the drums that I play, the flutes that I play, there's a different resonance. The handpan, when I play that, people are like, man, I go into a trance. And it's not because of the notes per se that I'm playing, it's because of the rhythm and it's because of my actual frequency that is coming through me. So when I go into a trance, every note that I play is a trance note.
I have one more question, if you don't mind, Linda. I'm so sorry,
That's
because
okay. That's
this,
okay. 'Cause I got one too.
because this hit something that I experienced. So, and I didn't understand it. So you are eloquently relaying this information, and I'm receiving this download. So the experience that I had, and if you can, that would be great. If not, I understand. The experience that I had was with the frequency. I felt it, as you said, down the spine, the back of the nape. But for some reason, I maybe it was a trance. My head kept going. I felt as though my head was going backwards, like this. And then for some reason, I felt like I was lifted out of myself.
Yeah. So what happened was whatever frequency you were hearing was moving into the vagus nerve to make you feel safe enough. And the body was just going backwards to say, I'm okay. I'm releasing. And then what happens, you begin to feel the energetic part of you, the body begins to come out. And that's when you feel like you're actually levitating or hovering over your own body. And that's just your actual astral projection. So whatever frequency you were hearing was making you safe enough to feel okay to project.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
All goes
that's
back to that nervous system and
Yeah.
what you feel
yeah.
safe doing. But that was an astral projection that you did.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
No. There was one more question that came in from the viewers. Mrs. Simpson said, "Do you ever come across clients that are initially reluctant to your work? And if so, how do you best go about handling that type of clients? And do you inevitably still see success in those clients?"
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come across me that are initially reluctant or they're kind of skeptical about the work, and that's fine. I meet them where they are, pretty much. So if
Mhm.
they're skeptical, then it's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's you can look at it as woo woo, if you want to, but let me break down the science for you. Let me
Mhm.
break down the subconscious and the conscious mind and how it works and what's happening with you. And at that point, you have a chance to listen to me or not. And most people, when they listen to me and I break it down scientifically, then they understand, oh, okay, so what if I do this? And I'm saying, okay, then just try this. Or what if I do that? Well, okay, try that. But if you want to work with me, first start with breathing.
Mhm.
Nice, easy, gentle breaths. See how that works for you and get back with me. I can send you
Mhm.
a guided meditation.
Yeah.
And in that guided meditation, you can experience it and see what happens. But there are people, of course, that have doubts because um, they feel like it could be going against Christianity or
Mhm.
what they've been taught. And I'm a shaman, so is that a good person or an evil person? And
Yeah.
all these questions. So I get everything. But for me, again, it's like my energy is one that's going to say, I'm only going to attract those that want to experience what I have to give them. And
Hmm.
that's where our energies, our vibration attracts our tribe. Our vibe attracts our tribe.
Yeah.
And that is something that we have to understand. When you become a certain frequency of energy, I am not for everyone. I'm not one that's going to blow smoke and talk junk and be like, hey, I can do this and I can do that. No, I'm going to give you the straight facts and I'm going to tell you how I can help you. And if you're willing to, then that's great. Let's work together. If not, there's plenty of resources out there, and I'd be glad to point you in the direction of something that you're comfortable with. So, again, I just meet people where they are and I don't force anything. Not, you don't have to do it my way. You don't have to. It's just like, hey, breathe.
Yeah.
Everybody has to breathe every day. So let me give you a technique you can breathe with and see how it works for you. And if you enjoy it, then and it does something for you and you want a little bit more and come back. I have an app that's online that you can look at that has over 30 hours of free information about
Mhm.
me and about how to do things and so many guided meditations. It's ridiculous.
It is,
Hmm.
and it's all right there. I have a cousin that was on a couple of weeks ago. Lord Sharif was on. He talked about the monkey mind,
Hmm.
Yes.
and he talked about the power of silence.
Mm.
And I can't wait to get the two of y'all together.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It would change the world. You know,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
the thing
21st.
about it is that whenever I have a tendency to have a monkey mind, I
Hmm.
recognize it. I have to control it.
Hmm.
And what I use to control it is I simply go to Apple Music and I
Hmm.
click on your meditations and I
Thank
listen to gentle restfulness and it calms me right
you.
down. I put it on a loop, play it all night. I'm asleep all night. Things fine. So it's there.
Beautiful.
You have
Beautiful.
all that information that is there and free
Yeah.
for people to
Mhm.
have access to.
Exactly. It's all out there. It's 3 albums. There's I have over 300 recorded meditations. I mean, it's so much stuff out
It
there. And
is.
if you shoot me an email, I'll be glad to send you some stuff.
Send it
You
yeah.
know, it's
I
it's it's
love
so
it.
simple. It's so simple. But Linda, I want to give you a little something you can do. That monkey mind. I
Yeah.
want you to just play
Ooh.
with that a little bit, okay? So
Right.
when the monkey mind happens, don't try to control it. Don't try to stop it. Just observe it and just say, okay, I'm going to be a conscientious observer of this monkey mind, and I'm going to see where my mind goes and
Mm.
watch what happens. Don't offer any resistance. Just watch what happens.
Okay. Because sometimes what's coming through are things like mortality and do you need to hurry up and do something before it's too late?
Mhm.
That kind of monkey mind crap shows up.
Yeah, that's just the conscious mind trying to distract you from the higher self that you're actually going into. So
Uh-huh.
let it talk. Let it do whatever it's got to do. That monkey mind is real simple to deal with. It's like
Mhm.
if you were watching from sitting on the side of a road on a rock and watching traffic pass by, eventually the traffic is going to slow down and there's not going to be traffic. Just
Mm.
observe the thoughts and watch what happens. Just like
So
clouds, they float by and eventually the sky gets blue. Just
Don't
watch them. Everything goes in
cuss 'em
rhythm.
out. Don't get
Don't
mad
it's
at.
don't resist them. Don't,
Yeah.
and it's just breathe 3, 4 breaths, 4 counts in,
Yes.
4 counts out,
That's what
and
helps.
it's safe. And just let yourself know it's safe to go to where my mind is trying to go. That's why the monkey mind
So
is stopping you.
true.
The monkey mind comes in to distract you from going to that place that's deeper inside of you.
Yeah.
And I
And
love
that the
that you
monkey,
touched on
yeah,
that. No, go
yeah,
ahead.
the monkey mind is another sign that the nervous system is in a state of disarray. That's
Yeah.
another sign. And it's
Yes.
the thing is we're going to go in and out. But the thing is
Yeah.
how fast can you get back to your
Get it
flow?
back. Yeah.
Get back to flow.
Mm,
And that's why you just don't fight it. Don't
Don't,
resist it.
don't push.
You
regulated.
just let it, just watch what happens, and and then turn the music on. But
Yeah.
just listen and see what happens. All of a sudden you might get all the answers you were looking for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
true.
They just come in.
Yeah.
What do you hope changes in how people approach awakening in the next generations?
I really hope that they start to focus on that first step, which is nervous system and vagus nerve balancing, stabilization. I hope people really look at that. And the other thing is to know that all the answers are inside instead of trying to go outside of themselves and compare something that's outside. I hope people begin to look inside and see the beauty in themselves. And when they see that beauty in themselves, there's no reason to go outside. And then the inside becomes the outside that you were chasing, and you begin to experience bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a question for you in regards to if someone says, I feel like everything is changing inside me, but I
Mhm.
don't feel stable, where do they begin?
Great
Okay,
question. Great
great
question.
question. Definitely. So if people are feeling like things are changing and they don't feel stable, then what I do is begin to look at their emotional state. Okay, when you don't feel stable, what emotion is coming up? And then we start to look at that emotion, and I'll talk with that emotion. Let's see why that emotion is coming up. And you feel like things begin to change, but that emotion that's stopping you from actually feeling like you're stable is the emotion that is saying that the nervous system is not ready and prepared to receive what you're actually changing into. So we have to map that emotion, see where
Mm,
it goes, and then we have to allow that emotion to move. And there's a technique that I use through quantum healing, shamanic journeying to help people to actually track that emotion in their body. And what I do is take you into it. This goes into state regulation and threshold crossing. I take you into that emotion of why you feel like it's you feel like you're moving but you don't feel stable. Okay, so let's go into that and let's come out of it and let's go deeper into it. Let's come out of it. Let's feel the emotion. And then every time you feel the emotion, every time you feel the experience, what happens, it begins to lose its strength because you're now facing it and you're allowing it to look. Then we get to a certain point and I say, hey, now let that emotion move throughout your body. Ask it if it
Mhm.
wants to move and see what happens. And a lot of times people say, wow, it just moved here. It moved here. It moved here.
mm,
Let it move. Now the emotion, when it's moving, it's going through the different body parts, your different chakras. It's going through your different emotional phases of places that are stored in your body that's holding that same emotion that we're talking about. And when we let that emotion go through that process, then we take you through another step of the hypnosis and basically let that the quantum hypnosis and the quantum healing, we take that and let that energy begin to come forth and speak.
mm.
And it actually tells you why I'm here.
Yeah.
And when you're in that trance state, you get the why it's here, and then we release it. And then
Wow.
you allow it, and then all of a sudden we go back to the same state regulation, go back to what actually created the feeling that you're making movement, but you're not safe. And all of a sudden, I feel safe, or I don't feel like the nervous system feels ready. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, I feel movement, but I feel stable with the movement now because
Mm.
we've gone through the system.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
that's part of what I do with the coaching and one of the systems, one of the individual type of sessions that I have now.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, you're safe basing of awakening, and that's why slow is sacred. In
Mhm.
Yes.
yeah, in
Yeah.
transformation, absolutely,
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm.
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 Definitely. Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
if people leave tonight remembering one thing, what would you want that to be?
It would be that You're never broken and you're never lacking. You're always enough and you have always been enough. When you feel like you're not, it's the nervous system trying to protect you from the unknown of yourself. That's what I want you to know. You have always been enough. There is no thing that we need to chase. There's nothing we need to manifest. Everything is already manifested. The thing is, there's something inside of us that's blocking that manifestation from appearing physically in our reality. And it's in the nervous system. It's in the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can begin to track those emotions and let it go, all of a sudden it's like, wow, the world just came to me. Opportunities just started flowing to me because now you've blocked what was creating fear within your system. And when that fear is eliminated, you open yourself to receive the abundance that's already there, that you already are. You don't have to become anything. You're already it.
You know,
Everything.
magnificent continuity between this show and every other show we've done.
Thank you. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Formula for living in a chaotic world.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
There's a reason why these shows are coming like this.
Yeah.
Don't start me to crying now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna cry today.
Look, you put something bigger, put something better, bigger. You put something together bigger than you ever actually can ever know.
You know,
We're gonna have to talk to you about that.
I just exhale because I'm learning to exhale and sit with things, and I receive it. I'm holding it and it's grounded. And thank you. And anchored.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
You know, in the beginning of this, we talked a little bit and we talked about how this platform has elevated to so much more than what we initially thought it would be. And it's because we understand that this is a part of our purpose. It's purpose driven and it's bigger than self. It's not about me. It's not about Linda. It's about all of us collectively because we're all woven pieces together. We're intertwined, whether we realize it or not. And just from you talking about grounding, feeling safe, transformation, understanding, knowing that it's okay, and being integrated and arrival. And the last statement that you made is about remembering, because you've always been that person. You just had to remember who you were.
Right. Exactly.
And that is so deep on so many levels. And I just want to point back to the audience. We have Miss Barbara Pratt. Thank you for tuning in and being so supportive of Shaman Rah. Barbara says Shaman Rah is an excellent guide for these changing times. Ooh, yes, indeed. Very patient and knowledgeable. He certainly shines in his gift and has been my go-to for many years.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Barbara.
Yeah, you've been that for many people and you don't even know it probably. It's mind blowing.
Thank you. Much gratitude.
You know, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the love for this arc that we have created, because that's what we have
done.
We understand now. This is what it is. It is an arc.
Yes, for sure.
And it's a special container.
Yes, some of them to understand it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yes. So I want to know, Shaman Rah, please let us know, because you mentioned your earlier years and, you know, dealing with your father's transition and taking on that role. Now that you are integrated and you are above that, and like I said, I know you're in the governance role. I see it. I see it, brother. Okay. Like you said, you know your tribe, you know your people. And yes, you do. The energy is definitely aligned. So with that being said, could you let us know, if you had the opportunity to speak life into your younger self,
Mm.
what would that conversation look like?
Oh, that would be a beautiful conversation. First, I would say, thank you for everything that you've done in the past, because everything you did then brought me to right now.
Mm,
Everything has been perfectly timed, and the experiences, the hardships, the losses that I experienced as a younger man has shaped me to be the seasoned person that I am now.
Yeah,
And so I'd say thank you so much for all the experiences. I wouldn't change a thing.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
That is,
Gratitude.
yeah,
And
definitely.
at Billionaires Tailors, I think I know who that is. Yeah. Said this was everything in caps.
yeah,
And I concur. Yes,
yeah,
it was. And gratitude for sharing him with us.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
thank you. That's my lovely wife, Angel.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you for sharing him with us. Now, can you
yes.
please let the audience know where they can find you, how they can support your amazing work?
Right. You got some stuff coming up, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, definitely. In April, am co-authoring a book called New World Leadership by Livia Devi. She is
Mm,
a channel of the Arcturian Council, seven dimensional Arcturian Council. Very powerful channel.
yes.
She has a book, and she put together a council um, of world leaders, and we're actually putting together a framework in this book to teach New Earth living or New Earth leadership to the leaders of the world. And this book will be coming out in April. I actually have my own book, which is called The Living Bridge, which
Mhm.
comes out probably around August, and I'll be doing different book tours on those. Both of those books, I'll be in New York for the first book release of New World Leadership, and I will be in Tampa as well. That's one thing I have going on. Then I have my retreats coming up. I'll be in Peru the whole month of May, and we do have some spots together if you want to go there. And we hike in the Andes and do all kind of fun stuff and healing down in Peru. And again, my book is coming out on in August, the end of the summer. And if you want
Now,
to find me, you can. If you want to find me, you can find me at www.oraclestouch.com. I'm on
mhm,
all social media platforms at Oracle's Touch. So
mhm.
check us out, YouTube. My wife and I have a beautiful podcast called Awakening Cosmic Souls, and we talk about some deep, deep spiritual stuff. And
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
also be having guests coming on soon.
Okay. And so we can see
Ooh.
about all your retreats from March on your
Yes,
website. Yes.
yes, they're on the website. Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
know awakening is not meant to pull you away from life, you know.
Oh, for not for sure. We're supposed to be going deeper into life.
Yeah,
Into
it's
and
meant to bring you
yeah,
deeper into it, and remember,
yeah.
awakening without grounding can fragment.
Is can fragment and destabilize. And if you
Yeah.
want to know, yeah, if you want to know more about that class, the Living Bridge, I'm actually doing a 3-day master class in March, and that's on my website as well. So you can check that out. It's a 3-day master class where I'll actually be teaching you the 5 steps of the actual program, and it will lead into coaching if you want to do longer term coaching with me individually or as a group.
I
Okay.
love that.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
to our audience, tonight was definitely a reminder that transformation is not escape. It is
Yes.
integration, safety, presence, and embodiment.
Mhm.
Yes.
Expansion is not the destination, embodiment is. Because what you cannot hold, you cannot live.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
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 That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, Shaman Rah, it has been an absolute pleasure having
Yes.
you with us. Much gratitude in abundance for being here with us and shedding light and opening doors for many to cross that threshold, because there's so many that are curious and just don't even know where to begin. And
Right.
you've laid it out in layman terms that, hey, I will meet you where you are. And I think that is
Mhm.
so
Exactly.
important.
It
You know,
looks
Yes.
the
like
comments
Carlisle
are flowing in.
there.
Carlotta said, excellent, well needed. And we have some more coming in from Sunflowers, Enlightenment. So beautiful. I'm glad I call you dad. Oh, amazing. Love it. Gratitude, you guys. And of course, your wife said, say it. Love it. It's been such a beautiful journey
Yeah.
today, and I call it journey
Mhm.
because everything in life is a walk, and we have to understand why it happens. And this is just alignment at its best. Again,
Yes.
gratitude for being with us tonight,
Gratitude for
and
having me. Yeah.
absolutely, I am Michelle Diamond,
Yes. And I am Linda Boston.
and inviting you to continue expanding your infinite perspectives,
Not by seeking more.
but by becoming integrated,
This is Infinite Perspectives.
where voices become vision.
Have a good night and take this conversation with you into how you live and continue arriving into yourself.
Absolutely. Good
Absolutely.
night,
Thank you so
guys.
much.
Blessings to you.
Bye, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How you gonna change the things around you? Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, mhm. When you gonna hear his revelation?